In the beginning of the 1048, it all started this way. Back when the man was caveman, and he invented the wheel, and here we go, the wheel.
Well, that's not exactly how it all began. The 1048th Medium Truck Company was established in 2002, and despite its short lifespan, it's accomplished quite a bit. In 2002, the 192nd Field Artillery was being disbanded, and Connecticut Army National Guard was expanding its transportation capabilities, and the 1048th came into existence.
We would just get the 6 of us that we had, and we would do what you call YRT, around training. Quite naturally, we did not have, or the state didn't have a plan for us. We were the truck. Shortly after, I would say about a year later, received a phone call saying, hey, your tractors are here. So we went to Windsor Locks, look at the tractors. I signed for them. It was myself and Sergeant, at the time, Private Martinez. And Freightliner came down there, ran a course over at Utes. They ran a 1-week course. Operation, maintenance, how to TI the vehicle. So it was myself, Martinez, and then we had pulled in a couple of mechanics from Windsor Locks, a couple from around the state, because they would have the responsibility of maintaining these vehicles. And shortly after, myself, Martinez, start making trips to Windsor Locks. Who was it? Okay, myself and Private Martinez, we started to pick up the tractors. We made numerous trips. And we started to stack the tractors at the Stratford Armory in the motor pool. It was interesting because we had more tractors than we had personnel. So basically it was just myself and Martinez, and we start running around doing different things. Shortly after, we started to get 1 or 2 missions. And I'm like, we can't do missions unless we have personnel.
Personnel they would get, because word got out fast that the 1048th was looking, and they went from 6 soldiers to 3 platoons worth. So much so that they had to split the unit between 2 different locations.
Then they split the unit, 1/2 in Stratford, and then the other half up in New London. We had 3rd Platoon in New London, and the unit, or should I say the company, started to grow real fast. We started picking up soldiers, picking up equipment. Then we got our first mission. I would say this was around 2003. They picked up our first mission. Our first mission was the 102nd. Got their deployment. I believe they were going to Iraq, and we have the mission of transporting all their equipment. So, and we had to go to Virginia. From Virginia, we went up to Fort Drum, picking up their equipment. No issues. The tractors ran well. We were small enough to where the mission we were receiving, we were still in YRT. Receiving missions from 242, 192, and we were transporting a lot of their vehicles, you know, tents, 880s at the time, some of their Jeeps, Humvees, and we were transporting it out to South Dakota. Made it to be a very interesting trip, you know, for a few of us.
South Dakota was just the first of annual trainings that would prove to be very interesting. Oklahoma followed, and these built the 1048 skill set as they were bound to be tested on Monday, August 29th, 2005. In southeast Louisiana, Hurricane Katrina ripped across the coast and into the mainland, causing severe destruction along the Gulf Coast from central Florida to Texas. The most severe loss of life occurred in New Orleans, Louisiana, and where severe flooding occurred when the levee system catastrophically failed. Still a young company, the 1048th was ready and was called upon to assist.
Katrina was extremely painful for the full-timers. When we got that mission, we got transferred from from Stratford We got transferred and they gave us 2 weeks to move from Stratford to New London. We were just settled into New London when we got the phone call that, okay, you guys are going to be moving all this gear. Folks start showing up, bottled water, clothing, cereal, you name it. And shortly after, we got the call saying, okay, we will be moving this stuff down to Katrina. So Captain Stingy was the commander. We had Lieutenant Turner as a platoon leader, Lieutenant D'Angeli at the time, Lieutenant Flounder was the other platoon leader. So we started to put a group of folks together, put folks in orders, and they started to bring the stuff from New London here to the Waterbury Armory. From the Waterbury Armory, consolidate, and then move down to McGuire. All the soldiers who were on orders also received the emergency service ribbon for that duty. Where a lot of the soldiers, when they did get down to Katrina, guys were just bunking off the back of the trailers.
Yeah.
They didn't have anywhere to sleep other than within the vehicles or on the trailers. I believe we dispatched about 15 to 18 vehicles.
The 1048th was called upon once again by the state of Connecticut on June 22, 2006, as it departed from Connecticut to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. The unit departed Camp Atterbury after completing its training on September 13, 2006 for Iraq, returning September 6, 2007. On its deployment, the 1048th accumulated more than 2 million miles, the equivalent to circling the Earth 80 times. It accomplished this in over 1,200 missions, safely moving over 50,000 tons of commodities down the deadliest routes in Iraq. But perhaps the most impressive statistic of all was the 1048th did this with 0 casualties.
If you go back and you read the history of the war, all right, just in Iraq itself, and you go back and look at when the most deadliest months in that war were the months that we were there.
Yeah.
Were from 2006 to 2007, and specifically in the spring. It's an amazing task. One, to take what we came in as line haul operators and truck drivers, and quickly adapting to that convoy security mission. Really just speaks volumes of the team. Of the leadership of the soldiers. Being able to adapt is a key element of a soldier, regardless of what level you're at. Maybe I have a biased opinion, but I would put up the 1048th against any one of those companies that we had the best people to conduct that mission. We had the best people to operate gun crews, to be convoy commanders, to be assistant convoy commanders. The skill set of our leadership and our soldiers, I think, just far out surpassed the other people that we operated with. And I think that any one of the guys that are out on the road would much rather have. We even saw people that would much rather have been in the 1048 than been in their own company. It was a successful mission from the time that we received the mission. I remember that I was out at dinner and I got the call and said, "Oh, we got a warning order." Okay, Roger, got it. I make my phone calls, call the first sergeant, call the XO, right, and hey, start the tree and let me know when everybody. And it was exactly 48 minutes.
Wow. From
the time that I called and gave the message, "Hey, listen, we're getting mobilized," to the time that I got a call back and said, "Roger, thumbs up. We got we got comms with everybody. Everybody knows." So the op tempo, it's probably nothing that I'll ever be able to replicate again. Is getting up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and trying to get in, squeak in a workout to having to go to battalion meetings and do all that stuff during the day, and all that stuff was happening before we really got to do what our job was, and that was stand up those gun crews and get those convoys ready and get them out the door. And I really had an excellent team of soldiers and leaders that made that stuff happen. It was making ourselves mentally and physically ready to assume that mission. Even though it wasn't the mission that we thought we were going over there to do, it was a mission that we were handed, and more than capable of doing it well. And I think that our legacy that we left there and the standards that we set speak for themselves. It wasn't any time that there was a high profile mission, there was only one unit that they were looking at to do that, and they were calling down to the 1048.
The 1048's success, both at Katrina and Iraq, is indicative of its hard work and adaptability. 1048 continues to prove itself as an outstanding unit in the Connecticut Army National Guard, and will continue its legacy of greatness moving forward. This was the history of the 1048th.
It was a challenge, but God looked out for all of us.